What is education? Is it the memorization of facts or a pathway to get a job? What is it? What if education was not just about memorizing the facts, but about freeing the soul from ignorance? Freeing the soul from ignorance. What if learning could turn ordinary person into wise rulers? Into wise rulers. Plato believed exactly that. In the Republic, he described education as a powerful journey from the shadows into the light of truth. The very purpose of education to eradicate the ignorance, to remove the ignorance and make wise rulers. That's what Plato believed. Hello and welcome to the StateCraft Simplified with Dr. Ajay. Plato, one of the greatest political philosopher of ancient Greece, viewed education as a vital process for both individual development as well as the well-being of the society. He believed education is very important. For what? For the development of the individual and the society. For Plato, education was not merely about acquiring knowledge or vocational training. Okay? Not just acquiring knowledge. Not just acquiring knowledge or vocational training. But what? It was a lifelong journey of guiding the soul towards truth, virtue, and the ultimate reality. What is the main purpose? It is its main purpose to guide the soul, towards the journey, towards truth, to the journey of truth and virtue and the ultimate reality. Okay? And he believed that education is an important tool. It's very crucial for shaping the character of the individual, shaping the character, building the character, and it also helps in establishing the societal justice. Justice. Okay? In his famous book, The Republic, he outlined a detailed vision of education as a means to save the ideal citizen, to save the ideal citizen, ideal citizens, and just leaders, and just leaders, especially the philosopher king, because they have reason, they can guide, they have the wisdom. And in Plato's ideal state, he believed that wisdom should dominate over courage and appetite. The philosopher king will be the ultimate rulers. And how the philosopher king are chosen? They are chosen through the system of education. Okay? His core philosophy of Plato's concept of education Plato's views, Plato's philosophy of education. The core philosophy: moral development, truth seeking, and justice. Moral development. It is very important, very crucial. Morality, ethics, values, these principles should be respected. And through the process of education, these are the ultimate, what we can say, these are the ultimate ideas of education. And this education that was linked to the idea of philosopher king, that the philosopher king or the rulers that reign in wisdom and justice. Here are some of the key features of Plato's concept of education, Plato's philosophy, Plato's ideas on education. The first key feature was advocated by Plato, that education should be state sponsored. It should be sponsored by the state, like Sparta. This is another city state of Athens. Okay, that the education, it should be controlled, it should be managed by the state. What the children will learn, how they will learn, everything, the expenses must be taken care by the state. Second feature, strict state surveillance. Strict state surveillance. Also, this is like Sparta. Sparta. Okay. That state will control and state will look after what are being taught to the children, to the students. That is a strict state surveillance by the state. State will look after the education system. Third, we can say that Plato's concept of education was non-discriminatory, that the both men and women, they can have education, and this is free for all. Okay, he believed that women are not suffering from any kind of natural disabilities. They are equally capable, they are equally potent to take care of the matters of the state. So he also given the concept of philosopher king and philosopher queen also. Okay. Next important feature of Platonic system of education, compulsory military training. Compulsory military training. This is another important features of Plato's concept of education and its very features or nature. After the age of 20, military training will be compulsory. Compulsory military training. Next feature, functional specialization for justice. He believed each and every individual will work as per their own capabilities, as per their own achievements. It's like the right man at the right place. Right man at the right place. Through his education or his system of education, reason, spirit, and appetite. They are chosen on the basis of education. Okay, so they will not interfere in each other's affairs. So there is a functional specialization that ultimately brings harmony in the society. So justice could be maintained. Next feature, moral and spiritual development. Education is not only about, it's not only about what? Getting a job or being knowledgeable, but also for the all-round development. Here it comes, and this all-round development includes moral and spiritual development. Let's discuss his educational scheme, his overview of the educational scheme. First, his educational system was structured, class-based, and lifelong. It was structured. We'll discuss that. That who will learn what? For example, music. Who will learn this? Mathematics. Who should be taught that? Okay, military training. Everything was in a very structured manner, and it is also lifelong. If you want to become a philosopher king, to rule the ideal state, you need to get education up to the age of 50 years. Okay, and the main goal of his educational system, he intended to cultivate virtue and wisdom, and his scheme aimed to identify and train the most capable individual to become rulers. Identify the most capable citizens. Identify who has which qualities, and most importantly, and the most capable individual to become the ruler. That is the philosopher king. Okay, and while preparing others for the role as a soldier and producer, if those who cannot become the philosopher king or philosopher class, they cannot join the philosopher class, they will become soldiers or producers. Let's discuss Plato's education system and its scheme of education in a detailed manner. He divided the education system on the basis of age, on the basis of years. This is the first one is early childhood from 0 to 6 years, and its main focus, it's a kind of informal education or informal learning through family stories, play. Okay, family will influence the behavior of the child. The stories, play, which are basically for the moral development and the shaping of the character. Okay, main aim, moral development and shaping. Shaping of the character. Okay, content from the age 0 to 6 years. What they will learn? What they will learn? They'll learn about the novel mates and protected environment. Good environment. Exposure to novel stories. Okay. Novel stories. Be it myths, maybe some kind of biography or autobiography. Okay. Next comes the primary education. The primary education from the age group between 6 to 18 years. This education, this system or this stage of education focuses on physical, moral and aesthetic training. Okay, aesthetic education. And what are the subjects must be taught? Subjects like music and poetry. What is the purpose? To shape the soul and instill harmony. And virtue. What is the purpose of music? What is the purpose of poetry? Plato believed that it will shape the moral character of the individual. It will shape the soul. It will instill harmony and virtue in the individual. Apart from music and poetry, gymnastics will also be included in primary education for physical discipline to train the body for discipline and courage. Discipline and courage. So you can say that this primary education from the age between 6 to 18 aims to harmony of both body and mind. Okay, it brings a balance between both body and mind. It promotes a sense of order, beauty and obedience. Okay, this is what we can say primary education from 6 to 18. Then comes the military training, the compulsory military training. It's compulsory. Okay, that is from age 18 to 20 years. Those who are showing bravery and leadership, they will be called as the future generations or future guardians. The soldier class. The soldier class. And the focus, it's rigorous physical and military training. It focuses on rigorous physical and military training. Okay, what is the aim of this? What is the aim of that physical and military training? To develop bravery, to develop discipline. Okay, aim bravery, discipline and loyalty to the state. Okay, and at the age of 20 there is a first screening test. At the age of 20, those who failed will join the producer class. Okay, and they are the man of iron. And those who passed, they will promoted to the next level. Then comes higher education from the age between 20 to 30 years. 20 to 30 years. And those who passed the first screening test at the age of 20, they are promoted to get higher education. That's why they are called intellectually gifted. Okay. What are the subjects they will be taught? Mathematics, geometry, astronomy, and harmonics. Harmonics basically it's what we can say music theory. And the aim of this higher education was to train the rational part of the soul. To train the rational part of the soul. Okay. And encourage abstract thinking, thought process to improve the thought process, and philosophical inquiry. Philosophical inquiry. That's the aim of that higher education. And at the end of that higher education, at the age of 30, second screening test. At the age of 30, second screening test. Those who failed, they will be joined the soldier class. Okay. And those who passed, they will further promoted ahead, for further promoted towards higher learning. That is the study of dialectics from 30 to 35 years. What is dialectics? It's the art of logical thinking. Logical thinking. Art of logical thinking. And philosophical inquiry. Okay. What is the aim of this study? What is the aim of this dialectical and philosophical training? To understand the forms, especially the form of the good, the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality. Okay, the aim you can say that or goal, understand the form of good. And then from 35 to 50 years, they will get practical training, practical experience about the state affairs. They are in active service in public affairs. Public affairs and governance. It's what you can say. They're getting the practical training. What is the aim of that practical experience in governance? To apply philosophical knowledge. Aim. Philosophical knowledge. Because after the age of 35, they will get the practical training under some other philosopher kings, those who are already in power. As a result, the philosopher kings, they will get a real life experience about governance and decision making. Okay. And the ultimate goal, and the end goal was the selection of the most capable and the selection of the most potential candidate and the selection of the philosopher king. Okay, those who are capable, those who are talented. One question arises here. After 50, at the age of 50 years, there are many philosopher king will emerge, right? Many philosopher king will emerge. But who will rule? Who will rule? How will decide that? Or who is going to decide that? Who is going to decide? Don't you think this is a problem? There might be conflict or confusion as who will rule, how to identify the most eligible among the philosopher king, among the philosopher. What should be the solution? What should be the solution? Because there is confusion. There is a confusion that who will rule. Because there are many philosopher king, those who already completed the 50 years of education. According to Plato, the philosophers or the true philosopher do not seek power. Do not seek power. According to Plato, he believes there will be no problem will arise because philosopher kings or the philosophers were not eager to rule. Not eager to rule. They do not have the lust for power. Lust for power. The philosopher class, the philosopher king do not have any lust for power. No lust for power. Okay? It is an obligation towards state that the philosopher king, their obligation, they are obligated towards the state. Those states are best governed where the rulers are reluctant to govern, rather where they are eager to rule. He believed that the best ruler are reluctant to govern because they don't have lust for power. They do not have eager to rule and no lust for power. They believe that it is an obligation and towards state. Okay. Despite of all this, Plato's concept of education was not free from criticisms. First, it was alleged that Plato's scheme of education was meant for the guardian class only. Only for the guardian class, not for the producer class, which was unfair to some of the philosophers, to some of the experts, those who believed that Plato's theory of education was only meant for the guardian class. Secondly, his scheme of education is a lifelong process, span up to the age of 50 years. Some consider that that is very long span, very long process. Then his education is far removed from reality. It's an utopian idea. Just think about it. Who will be getting education up to the age of 50 years? It's quite utopian, idealistic. Its practical implementation is next to impossible. Okay. And as a result, or you can say that it's not very logical or illogical, his concept of education. And his concept does not have much provision for technical and vocational training. Technical and vocational training. There is no scope for that. So these are the criticisms can be leveled against Plato's concept of education. Okay. To conclude, we can say that Plato's education, Plato's concept of education is a lifelong moral and intellectual journey which aimed at discovering the truth and achieving justice in both individual and the state. And he believed that education should nurture the soul. Nurture. Nurture the soul. Okay? Develop reason. He believed that. What he believed? He believed that education, the sole purpose of education was to nurture the soul, develop reason, and prepare citizens for their proper role in the society. Because he wants to make Athens an ideal state. Right? And for that purpose, it is important the citizens must abided by their own roles, abided by their responsibilities. They should not interfere in each other's affairs. Okay? The philosopher king, they will rule. The soldier class, they will protect. And the producer class, they will produce. None of the three classes will interfere in each other's affairs. Okay, this is what you can say. The citizens are assigned role by their ability. The philosopher king, the soldier class, and the producer class, they are abided by their own responsibilities. They are assigned roles as per their own ability. Okay, his system, Plato's concept of education, his system of education specially emphasized character building, discipline, character building, CB, okay? Character building, discipline, and the pursuit of highest good. Highest good. That is the ultimate truth, making the foundation of many modern educational philosophies. Till today, we cannot ignore his contribution. As we said that education is a lifelong process. Although you can say that this education, it may be formal or informal, but it is a lifelong process. So that's the importance of Plato's concept of education, valued today. It's still relevant. Okay, that's all. Where you can find the PDFs. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.